YouTube wants you to believe that anyone can make it as a content creator on the platform, but you probably can't. At least not in the way that they want you to. The truth is, less than 1% of YouTube creators even make money on the platform. The rest of us are sandwiched between the latest dude perfect trick shot video and an endless stream of Subway Surfer Giga Chad React shorts that are ripped straight from Instagram or TikTok. Every time we open social media, our attention is under attack. We are living in an age of content chaos. Now, YouTube rewards virality. We all know this. Virality is supposed to be a way to cut through the noise. So creators chase trends, seeking virality, but losing a little bit of meaning. And the result is a culture of hollow, hyper-optimized content with no soul. And I think this leads to viewers feeling disconnected, both from the content they consume and from the creators that make it. I felt the same pressure, and this is my first YouTube video. The pressure to chase trends and virality, but at the cost of making stuff that is actually meaningful to me. This feeling never really sat right with me. I can't believe that going viral is the only option. That's really depressing to me for some reason. But if you don't go viral, how are you supposed to get noticed? How are you supposed to cut through the noise? How are you supposed to break into the 1%? I started looking around, trying to find different answers, and I stumbled into something that I think might be the right idea. Making a living as a creator isn't about going viral. It's about getting close. Let's talk about it. So first, I want to address the term creator. I know there's a bit of stigma around the word creator, mostly because it tends to immediately conjure up the image of a vapid influencer taking selfies in public. But for what I'm talking about, creator is actually the perfect word. For our purposes, a creator is just someone who creates anything, whether that's music, videos, movies, live streams. Creators are the new artists. And like artists, creators are reliant on an audience. Across history, artists have always needed an audience. The problem facing creators that are just starting out is the same as it's always been. Nobody's watching, and they don't know how to reach a wider audience to begin growing. They are entirely reliant on the algorithm to put their work in front of people that might care about it. Today, it's easier than ever to make something and put it online, but it's harder than ever to get noticed. Because of this, the modern content landscape feels like feast or famine. We're surrounded by titans of the new media space like Mr. Beast, who can pull in billions of views and hundreds of millions of dollars a year just by posting on the same platform we're all using. Because of this, I think it's kind of easy for creators to get caught up in the pull of having a large audience. It's very alluring. We see so many other people on the platform who have millions of subscribers and bigger audiences. So for a creator that's just starting out and finding their footing, I think it's really easy to look at those numbers and think that having a large audience like these other channels represents what the benchmark for success is. But what if, as a creator, you didn't need millions of people to watch? What if you only needed 1,000? That's the argument that Kevin Kelly makes in his essay titled 1,000 True Fans. Here's the theory. In order to make a living as a creator, you only need 1,000 true fans. Now, 1,000 people is barely enough to fill up a decent-sized theater. So how are you supposed to make a living as a creator with so few people supporting you? Like, I know plenty of people with 1,000 followers on Instagram, and they're not making a full-time living off of their art. But these aren't just regular followers made up of friends and family. These are true fans. Kelly defines a true fan as a fan that will buy anything you produce. These diehard fans will drive 200 miles to see you sing. They will buy the hardback and paperback and Audible versions of your book. They will come to your chef's table once a month. These true fans are people that believe in your work, and that really makes all the difference. But it doesn't just stop at a true fan wanting to support you. Kelly tells us that there are 2 criteria that have to be met in order for this theory to work. First, you have to make enough stuff in a year so that you can earn about $100 of profit per true fan. Secondly, you must have a direct relationship with your fans. That is, they must pay you directly. If a creator meets these 2 criteria and has 1,000 true fans, in theory, they can make a living off of what they create. And if you really think about it, this is kind of the philosophy behind the subscription creator platforms like Patreon and Substack. Direct support to a creator without a middleman, kind of. They're still the middleman. This kind of artist-audience relationship is only possible with how interconnected the internet and things like YouTube are. In theory, we're never more than 1 or 2 clicks away from seeing people that we might want to support. If you're part of the audience, that's exciting because it feels like you have a direct line of connection to the artists that you want to support. And if you're a creator, this is great because it feels like you have a direct relationship with your audience. No middlemen, mostly. Now, this all sounds super simple and straightforward, which means this is the part of the video where I tell you it's not that easy. The math definitely works in a vacuum, but life doesn't exist in a vacuum. Plus, having this theory kind of feels like putting the cart before the horse, you know? You only need 1,000 fans to support yourself. Great, sure. How do I get those 1,000 fans to begin with? The truth is, finding and cultivating true fans takes just as much work, if not more, than the job of creating things for them. And for some, that makes it totally worth it to put up with the middlemen like studios or publishers to do that job. Some people just aren't good at it. That seems to be a universal truth about being a creator. The more success you find, the more time you have to spend dedicated to admin-related things that aren't the job of creating. For example, you might be a writer. You love writing. You want to spend all of your time writing. But the more success you find as a writer, the more time you have to spend sending query letters, tracking deadlines, reaching out to editors, getting rejected by editors. The list goes on. This laundry list of admin work grows and grows until eventually most of the work surrounding your writing isn't even writing. Not only that, but this kind of direct support lifestyle that Kelly's talking about can be kind of tough to live on. Now keep in mind, Kelly never says you'll get rich doing this. He says you'll make a living. And there's a big difference. Take Robert Rich, for example. He's an ambient electronic artist who built up his fan base over the course of a couple of decades. He says it's not easy work, it's just work. As he describes it, he's his own booking agent, his own manager, his own lawyer, his own roadie, everything. He talks about having to crash on people's couches and stay in roadside motels, and he's not playing in 3,000-seat arenas. He's surviving. That's what making a living can look like. He also says that just because you have 1,000 true fans, it doesn't mean that your work is free from scrutiny or opinions. It's kind of the opposite. He says, it's easy to get trapped into the expectation of these true fans. An artist risks poverty by pushing too far beyond the boundaries of style or preconceptions. Fans expect something from you, but if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, they'll get bored of you. But if you break too far outside of the mold of what made them a true fan to begin with, you might lose them altogether as a fan. When an artist relies solely on an intense personal commitment from such a small population, it's like an animal that relies solely upon the fruit of one tree to survive. It seems like the reality of being a creator is that you always have someone to answer to, whether it's a publisher that's paying for your book or the fan that's buying your t-shirt. When you rely on someone for support, you're signing up for the responsibilities and expectations they might have. Okay, so at this point, I've shown you a theory that's supposed to be rock solid and work, and then I kind of immediately disproved it. So what's the takeaway? Let's go back to my original point, making it as a creator on a platform like YouTube. I think it's important to say that YouTube does want you to succeed. They want every creator to succeed, but only if that success is surrounded by mass engagement and viewer retention. They're a company. Their goal is to keep people on the platform for as long as possible so that they can sell ad space. And whether that's AI-generated jazz or brain rot Subway Surfer memes, they don't really care. But I think it's important to remember that success as a creator doesn't have to be defined by the people running the platform. You as a creator get to define your own success. People think this social media age is about distraction, but I think it's about connection. We crave connection. Creators want to connect with people who genuinely like the things they create. And people want to connect with creators who speak their unspoken thoughts, or show them something entirely new and unique, or give them a place just to hang out for a little while. And I get it, like, it's really easy to ask, what's the point? How can you even start to bring in an audience when you have to compete against channels like Mr. Beast? But that kind of is the point. Your video shows up the same way the latest Mr. Beast or Skibbity Toilet video shows up, as a thumbnail on somebody's homepage. Look, here's the thing. I've worked in the film industry for like over a decade now. And as a younger filmmaker, I always thought that whatever my latest project was would be the one that was going to jumpstart my career. I always thought that this is going to be the one that's going to get me on a talk show with Jimmy Kimmel. And then I'd make it, and then nothing. No jumpstart, no attention, no Jimmy Kimmel, nothing. I used to define my success by the success of my project. And as a result, I was constantly heartbroken by the fact that my work wasn't good enough to achieve what my idea of making it was. It was a really toxic cycle, and it led to a lot of frustration and a lot of burnout. And the really harsh truth is that my work just wasn't good enough. And of course it wasn't. Like, I was 20 years old. I hadn't done anything with my life yet. I hadn't learned anything. I hadn't lived through anything. Then I read something from one of my favorite filmmakers, Christopher McQuarrie, who said, "The secret to a rewarding career in film is focusing entirely on execution and not on result." I was so focused on the result of getting noticed and being catapulted into success that I totally neglected the execution of what I was actually doing. And because of that, I wasn't getting any better at my art, and I wasn't growing as an artist. Tennessee Williams wrote an essay titled "The Catastrophe of Success." It was about the hyper success he'd achieved based around the play that he wrote, A Streetcar Named Desire. And in it, he wrote, "The Cinderella story is our favorite national myth." Content platforms like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok are just the latest backdrop for these stories to take place. And we actively scroll through 1,000 Cinderella stories just waiting to happen. But ultimately, if you're a creator waiting for that, for your big break, for your Cinderella story moment, you're leaving everything up to chance. But maybe it'll work. Maybe you'll have 1 million subscribers and you'll hit the trending tab and you'll have a bunch of brand deals like lined up for you to do. Maybe, but you can't control that. What you can control is what you make and how well you make it. You get to choose how you want to grow as an artist and the types of fans you want to foster a relationship with. And if you go that route, it won't be easy. I think it'll be super lonely and really hard at times. At its core, getting 1,000 true fans isn't just about creating a revenue stream. It's about being somebody who can plant roots and connect with people. I think right now it's easy to feel lost at sea in an endless storm of content. The cure for content chaos isn't about stopping the storm. It's about giving people a safe harbor to come and stay for a little while.